This Friday, Jeremy Corbyn made one of the most important political statements of this century. For the first time since 9/11, a leader of the Labour Party has said that the war on terror has failed and that foreign wars have made the UK less safe. He says this just 3 days after the terrorist attack in Manchester, in which Salman Abedi, a British Muslim of Libyan descent, massacred 22 people and injured dozens of others. I've tried to imagine what it must feel like to have someone I love killed by a terrorist, and the thought alone is horrifying. No words can ever express the sadness and grief that the families, friends and loved ones of the victims of the Manchester attack must now be feeling. Yesterday, when I sat in the sunshine in Regent's Park, I thought of the 22 people who would never again be able to enjoy the sun, whose lives were taken prematurely by an act of sheer cowardice and cruelty. I'm devastated every time an attack such as this takes place. As I was born and raised in Britain, I am particularly devastated when such attacks happen in my own country, in places I have visited, and to people in my own community, who share my own history and values. As a person of Pakistani descent, I am also devastated when a terrorist massacres other Pakistanis, such as in Peshawar in 2014, when a terrorist killed 141 people at a school, including 132 school children. As a Muslim, I am devastated when Muslim terrorists violently massacre other Muslims, such as in 2016, when a terrorist bombed a market in Baghdad, killing 341 people during the month of Ramadan. Above all that, as a human, I will always be devastated when anyone kills an innocent person for whatever reason. To these terrorists, I would like to say that you are wrong, and you will never win. You are wrong because killing an innocent person only makes you guilty, and you will never win because we are not scared of you, and we never will be. Human societies are driven by love for one another. We live together, work together, play together, create together, and care for each other. This has been and will always be true of human beings, and no adversity has ever been great enough to stop us from pulling together in the end. Overcoming adversity is something we have to choose to do ourselves. Each of us must decide to reject terror and its ideology of fear and hatred. For as far back as I can remember, our government has been telling us that bombing foreign countries will achieve that goal. That killing people abroad is the right thing to do. I've watched our army, our air force and navy pummel their way through countless villages, towns and cities in Asia and Africa in the name of making us safer. In Iraq, since 2003, there have been 195,000 civilian deaths and 5 million people displaced. In Afghanistan, since 2001, there have been 26,000 civilian deaths and 1.2 million people displaced. In Libya, since 2011, there have been 4,600 civilian deaths and 1 million people displaced. In Yemen, since 2015, there have been 10,000 civilian deaths and 2.5 million displaced. In Syria, since 2014, there have been 470,000 civilian deaths and 6.5 million displaced. I'm not saying that the UK is directly responsible for each of these deaths, but the UK has actively participated in a campaign of violence in each of these countries since 9/11. On each of these wars, we have been told that fear and hatred are our strongest weapon to fight fear and hatred. We wreak devastation in families, communities, villages, towns and cities in every country that we use violence to get our way and enhance our own interests. In doing so, we didn't just create monsters, we became monsters ourselves. We allowed our leaders to fight fire with fire, and the fire just became bigger, bolder, and more destructive. Each time we sent our military to bomb foreign countries, we tell the world that our lives are more important than theirs, and we are ready and willing to destroy any amount of other people if it serves our own interest. In doing so, our mentality became scarcely different to the terrorists we sought to defeat. There is only one way to beat terrorism. It is by overcoming fear and hatred which feeds it. On an individual level, it is to overcome fear of our neighbours, to judge them not for their nationality or their religion, but for the content of their character. On a community level, to protect our tradition of tolerating diversity and to stand up against bigotry and prejudice. And on a national level, to seek peace, not war. To withdraw from supplying arms and munitions to countries we know use them for war, and to restrain from campaigns of violence against other countries. To those who blame Islam for terror, I would like to say this. Islam is like wine. To the pure in heart, it brings love, happiness and fraternity. and to the wicked it brings fear, hatred and division. Aziz Mia, one of the greatest Islamic Qawwali singers of Pakistan, sang, "Sharab ka koi apna sarai rang nahi, शराब तज्जिया और इत्तेसाब करती है, जो एल की दिल है, बराती है अब्रो उनकी, जो बेशूर है उनको खराब करती है." Translated, this means alcohol has no personality of its own, but it discriminates and it discerns. Those who are pure in heart are elevated by it, and those who are weak in character are destroyed by it. Aziz Mia is talking about alcohol, but he is also talking about Islam. And what he says is true for any religion also. I'm not a member of the Labour Party, but for the first time in a generation, Jeremy Corbyn is offering a chance for peace. I would like to live in a UK which is secure against terrorism, and is confident enough to overcome the ideology of fear and hatred which feeds it. We have all suffered witnessing the horrors associated with the war on terror, but let us never lose hope that one day all that will end.